Hi, I'm Barb LaMue, President and CEO of the New North here in Northeast Wisconsin. And what inspires me is working with startup companies, founders, in particular, veteran owned, women owned, and diverse owned businesses.
All right, and welcome to the Lantern Podcast out of Good Cause Productions at the University of Wisconsin Green Bay. I'm your host, Ryan Martin, and this show is about personal and professional discovery, resilience, and transformation. And in that spirit, we have got a fantastic guest for today. She is the president and CEO of New North Inc., an 18 county regional economic development corporation in northeastern Wisconsin. She is a certified economic developer with a bachelor's degree in business administration and economics and a master's degree in public administration. And last spring, she gave a fantastic commencement address at the University of Wisconsin Green Bay graduation. Please welcome Barb LaMue.
I've had the privilege of being a mentor in the Green Bay Packer Mentor Protege program for a
hmm
number of years. And that's the focus of the program, although it's open to everyone. Most of the individuals that I've had the chance to mentor are veterans, women,
hmm
and diverse individuals. And I think what inspires me in that particular regard is we know opportunity is everywhere, but access to those opportunities is not. So
Right.
it's really incumbent upon us to, make sure we're understanding the needs of all individuals and working hard to meet those
Yeah.
needs.
So I want to talk a little bit about New North in a
Mm,
second here, but can you tell us more about that
yeah.
the mentorship program and the type of work you do there and how you
Yeah.
got involved in that?
Yeah. Starting companies, that's always been of interest to me.
hmm
It's been my space in economic development for a long period of
hmm
time. Grew up on a family farm. We also had a separate family business. And I've just really um, encouraged and empowered by listening to other people's
hmm
stories of how they've been able to overcome obstacles.
Okay.
At New North, 18 County Economic Development Corporation, we serve 1.3 million people
It's
here in
incredible. Yeah.
Northeast Wisconsin. And our mission is to help people gain economic prosperity for all. And we do that through business development. And that's working with our existing companies that are
hmm
here, helping them with their growth plans, recruiting new companies to come to the region. And that
hmm
can be domestic and it can be international. And then working with startup companies and helping them get their businesses launched. And then the other side of that equation is helping individuals with their educational needs, with
hmm
talent development. We do that by recruiting new talent to the region. And one of the programs we have is called New North Hires Heroes, where we
hmm
will visit military bases and we meet with the transitioning men and women after they've made the decision to leave the military.
Okay.
We'll take employers with us. So when we go, there's an access to jobs. And then as they bring a family, we work with our local partners in getting their kids enrolled in school and helping them with housing and getting them really ingrained in the community so they feel welcomed
hmm
and they stay. The other part of that talent equation is how we help with digital skilling and connecting people to educational resources. And that's where UW Green Bay plays a major, major role in that
Okay.
particular arena.
Huh. I think that, well, I guess let's talk a little bit about your journey to
Mhm.
this role, right?
Mhm.
So, for starters, I guess tell people how long have you been in the position you're in currently?
I've been in this position for a little over 6 years.
Okay.
And prior to that, I worked for the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, WEDC,
Okay.
which was the state Department of Commerce.
Okay.
I was the vice president there. I did that for about 7 years.
hmm
Prior to that, I launched a 5 county economic development corporation in central
Oh wow.
Wisconsin. And then prior to that, in chamber work
Okay.
for a number of years.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so now, uh, on your sort of journey to
Mhm.
to get here, what when did you discover this in yourself that this is what you wanted to do, that this is what you were interested in?
Yeah, it's a long time. Not
Okay.
only just, being part of a family business, family-owned business. It was even prior to that, with my grandparents.
Mhm,
They immigrated here from what was the Czechoslovakia region, now the Czech Republic.
mhm.
Um, Bubby and Jetta, that's Bohemian for grandma
Nice.
and grandpa. And my grandfather was a carpenter and a farmer, and my grandmother maintained the homestead and farmed. And I just remember they spoke very little English.
Mhm,
And I just remember her sharing her journey with me about coming over through Ellis Island
mhm.
and my grandfather coming first to try and find a plot of land that they could establish their farm. And then my grandmother came after. And just packing everything that you own in a
Right.
trunk and going on a ship and really not knowing what the new world was going
Yeah.
to afford you.
Mhm,
Um, and she called me Bobby. I remember this conversation where she said, Bobby, you do good, you get good. And
mhm.
I really didn't understand what that meant at that early age, but I came to really realize it's really about, sharing whatever talents you have with others and it's giving back. It's helping other people be the best version of themselves.
Mhm,
No, and that looks different
mhm.
for everyone, each individual. But, I think it was at a really, really early age that I wanted to get involved in economic development is that blend between working with for-profit companies and then how you build community.
Right. So I'm gonna take go back. So you were telling
Mhm,
me first generation college student,
mhm. Yep,
first in your family go to school, decided to
yep,
major in
yep,
business administration and
yep,
economics.
yeah.
Did you know when you went to college, did you know that's what you wanted to study or did you discover that along the way?
No, I knew that early on.
Okay.
Back then they didn't really call the area focus economic development. I don't even
Mm.
know what they called it, Ryan. But I knew I wanted to follow up on my business interests, my business background,
Mhm.
and getting a degree in that. And then with my master's in public administration, that's really the blend
Okay.
of community, local government, and how. Entities, agencies can help on the business side of things.
And then you went on to graduate school and
I
you
did.
got a master's degree in
I
public
did.
administration. Is that
I
right?
did. I did. Yes.
Excellent. So was that
Yes.
right away or did you take time in between or
I went back as a non-traditional
okay.
student at the time, raising three
Oh
kids,
wow.
working full time. I've always worked full time, even when I did my undergrad. I did that as a non-traditional
Okay.
student too.
Okay.
And I remember at the school that I had, the college that I had gone to, the way they set it up was every third Saturday, you were on campus from 9 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, and you did that for 7 years
Oh wow.
to
Oh
get my
wow.
master's degree.
Yeah.
So, but it was something that I could manage
Mhm.
with the family and with my
Mhm.
work. I actually shared rides with, at that time, it was the fire chief of this community and long drive. So we would break up the drive by just we'd pick a current topic. It could be something that's global, something more domestic, something more locally. And then we flipped a coin. And if it was heads, you needed to argue pro
Oh wow.
whatever that topic was. If it was tails, you had to argue against it. You weren't for it.
Mhm.
So it really caused me to open up my mind, and a lot of times I had to argue for something that I didn't believe in.
Hmm.
But because I flipped that side of the coin, that
Right.
was the rule of the game. But what it allowed me to do is to really see the other side
Yep.
of an issue that maybe I would have been ignoring or had tunnel vision on. So to this day, I think I'm much better at not just jumping to a conclusion, but really evaluating the other side of
Yeah.
the issue.
That's really interesting.
Mm,
So when I was a kid, we had to write opinion papers in a course I was
mhm,
taking, and then one of the deals was once you wrote it, then you actually had to write the other side next.
mhm,
Which was really interesting. And but you're right. Like part of what that requires is a level of perspective taking
mhm.
that I actually worry people aren't very good at anymore. And there's something to that.
Yeah, I think today now more than ever, I think social media has really played into that.
Yeah.
And just if you get locked in one media channel, you're going to get the news feed from one particular perspective. And I've always told our children, you need to, you know, open up to various media sources and you're getting information from, various points of view. But I think it's harder today than
Yeah.
ever with social media.
Well, my read of sort of how people engage with news now is they don't necessarily go to sources. They sort of
Right.
let sources come to them, through social media, and so that means that and you're right, the way the algorithms work, you end up in a bubble potentially. So yeah, I wanna share a quote from your commencement address. So I mentioned before you spoke at the UW Green Bay, the May commencement address. It was fantastic. Um, you said, "You are the critical thinkers in a noisy world, the creative minds in times of stagnation, and the voices of empathy in moments of division. In this age of rapid change, your skills, curiosity, communication, compassion, they aren't just relevant, they're essential." I love it, obviously. And I think I told you at the time I loved it. That was a great, great speech. But I want to unpack that because you say so many things in that quote that I appreciate, starting with the noisy world we live in, but also thinking about the voice being the voice of empathy. Um, I guess unpack that for me a little bit. That quote. I guess did it mean as much to you as it meant to me, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just feel going back to we live in a very noisy world,
Mhm,
and it's just again, it's not the fact that we don't have enough information. We have too much, and it
mhm,
comes at us at all angles, and sometimes it's very easy to just get lost in that or to give up.
mhm,
And I think universities, hopefully, the students picked up that I was speaking directly to
mhm,
them, that as, college educated individuals, they have the power to reason, to expand their minds to other things, to be
mhm,
able to cut through rhetoric and really understand what's at the meat of a
mhm,
particular argument and more importantly, take action, do
mhm.
something about it, not just let it ponder in your mind, in your head, but, really take action. The other part of that was really looking at people that might not have the platform, they might not have the ability. And so as college educated individuals, how can they use their own platforms for good in
Mhm.
this world and speak up for people who maybe can't?
Yeah, and it feels like that thread has followed through a lot of what you've had
Yeah.
to say today, right? I mean, as we talk about the work you do um and the mentorship you've provided and things like that, that it's
Mhm.
about helping people address or remove potentially some of the barriers that are
Mhm.
preventing them from being able to accomplish their goals and do the things that they want to do.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
I'm curious, in you as you think through your life, you say creative minds in times of stagnation, the voice of empathy in moments of division. Um, I'm curious to tell me more about sort of when you and the things you've done where you feel really good. This is your opportunity to just really brag about things you've accomplished, right? So tell me about times you've been you know a creative mind in times of stagnation. Are there things that jump out at you?
But I mean, I think I've been in economic development for a long, long period of time.
Hmm.
Been through recessions, been through, political divide, and at the end of the day, it's a controlling what you can control, but then taking that one step further and just take action. However, I will tell you, I remember an individual. I've had a lot of mentors in
Hmm.
my life, and this one woman said, Barb, please make sure that you don't do anything for us without us.
Mm.
And that has always stuck in my head too. So as we, formulate ideas and how can we build a better region, it's not just Barb LaMue just jumping to some
Right.
conclusion and just say we're going to go do it. How do we talk to the people that would be most affected by the outcomes of what we're trying to
Yeah.
engage?
That's a
So,
that is a
mhm.
super powerful quote. Can you say it again?
Yep.
Don't
Don't do anything for us without
Yeah,
us.
that's a super important message, because I think that's where people can go awry.
Right.
Often, I mean,
Exactly.
yeah, inadvertently with the best of
Mhm.
intentions.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm thinking there's a lot of good quotes here because what your grandma said to you
Mhm.
as
Mhm.
well as this one. So,
You
well,
do good, you get
if
good.
you do good, you get good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's nice.
Right.
I tend
Right.
to cling to. I've been thinking about this. I was writing recently about mantras, like
Mhm.
people's mantras and
Mhm.
what they have that sort of motivates them, especially when they're feeling emotional or feeling
Mhm.
down. And it occurred to me that what I've often used as my mantra was a little too passive. I often fell back on the sort of it is what it is, right? It's an
Mhm.
acceptance
Mhm.
model, which is
Mhm.
fine, but it's not the thing that motivates you to do the next thing. So
Right.
I've
Right.
transitioned to do the next right thing,
Yeah.
as a thing I like to say to myself when I'm struggling. And so,
Mhm.
you know, uh, so it feels like, at the risk of getting a little bit political, it feels like we're in a moment of division right now.
Mhm.
To quote your
Mhm.
speech again,
Mhm.
does that change the way you operate, the way New North operates, or do you feel like you're able to sort of maintain that vision and those goals in these times?
Um, we can maintain and we are maintaining our vision. Maybe some of the methods upon which we execute on those priorities needs to change a little
Mhm.
bit and has changed a little bit. I think there's been some words that people have said we, you know, shouldn't use or just out in public media. You can call it whatever you want to. At the end of the day, are you still fulfilling your mission? And our mission is economic prosperity for all.
Mhm.
And so, we look at cultural inclusion is important,
Mhm.
and that work is going to continue regardless of whatever
Mhm.
it's called.
Mhm. Nice. What do you see as some of the big moments in your life so far that have sort of shaped this trajectory that you've found yourself on or that you've gone? You know, we've talked about college a little
Yeah.
bit. We've talked
Yep.
about conversations with your
Yeah.
grandmother. What are some of the
Yeah.
other things that shaped that path?
Yeah. I would say, I've been fortunate to be in positions. I've loved every position that I've had,
Mhm.
and have surrounded myself with really great, talented people. My father would always say, Bobby, just hire people that are smarter than you and you will be just fine. So I've done that as I've gone out to recruit my team,
Mhm.
and you give them the resources, then you just let them flourish.
Mhm.
I think it's just, in this current position, I report to a board of 42 CEOs, 42 executives.
Wow.
And I've learned a lot from
Mhm.
them, and they've been provided tremendous amount of support. Our board meetings are much more like a tech group than a
Mhm.
typical board meeting. So we use those individuals, and these are CEOs of large and small companies and educational organizations as well. And we use them and their circles of influence to really help us drive and build a stronger region. So I think it's just being able to make sure that you can't do it all, but how do you leverage the relationships and the partnerships
Mhm.
to be able to complete your mission?
Yeah. No, that's fascinating. So when you think about the next 5 years or the next
Hmm.
few years, what are some of the things that you want to try and accomplish? What do you think are some of the things that are really important and relevant for northeastern Wisconsin? What are some of the next goals you have?
I think it would be, I want the region to continue to grow,
Mhm.
and by growth, that means By population, we know just sheer numbers.
Hmm.
We're fortunate in that our region over the last 4 years, we have gained a net migration of 19,000 people.
Oh, wow.
And there are some regions that are losing populations, but
Hmm.
um, we're contrary to that, which is a really good thing. So it's continuing to grow the region by popularity, by earning potential, by increased degrees and certificates on the educational front. Um, Meeting people where they're at, and that means continuing to work hard to address a lot of the social issues, such as lack of affordable housing and childcare and transportation. We're pretty wedded to our cars, and
Hmm.
as you know, you travel around the globe. We're a little bit behind in public transportation, mass transportation. We're not there yet, but someday we will be. Um, I recently commissioned a report, and it was to really look at the three largest regions in the state:
Hmm.
New North, the Milwaukee region, and the Madison region. And initially, we were calling it the cheese wedge, and the innovation triangle. And then we were asked to really broaden the look of that to cover the whole state of Wisconsin.
Hmm.
So it's just really it's the changing landscape of entrepreneurship.
Right.
But in that report, it identifies some action steps on what we can do to help prepare. Um, Starting a business is getting much more technical
Hmm.
than it had been in the past, especially with AI and
Right.
other digital technologies that are needed. And so the report has some recommendations in there that we'd certainly like to help propel.
Okay. Very good. So, thinking about students right now and thinking about, anyone kind of in college, about to graduate from college,
Hmm.
what do you think are some of the skills that are really important for those students to have to be successful if they're thinking about being involved in starting a business, or if they're thinking about any kind of entrepreneurship? What are some of the things they should be good at?
I think just being authentic. I worry about this with social media and that how people pose and what they post and everything. It's a pretty rosy world out there. And we know that that just can't be the case all the time for every
Hmm.
individual. So I think just telling the students, be the best version of you, no matter what that is. And don't compete against the person that's sitting next to you at the science lab table. Compete against the person you were yesterday. So you're always looking at, kind of the self-fulfillment of just how you can be a better version of you
Right.
and to be authentic. And this gets back at we all make mistakes, and if you make a mistake, you own it, and then you
Hmm.
just figure out, how do you improve upon it next time. So it gets back to the basics. I mean, obviously, students need critical thinking skills.
Hmm.
A lot of the technical things, the colleges you teach very, very well. And at the end of the day, it's how can they sit down and have a conversation with people that
Hmm.
maybe they don't know or they're meeting
Right.
for the first time, or the questions that they ask. I find probing questions are tell much more the answers tell much more about that individual than
Right.
probably sitting down and, completing an essay exam.
Right. All right. So we're going to move on to our three questions
Okay.
that we end every episode
Yep.
with. But before
Yep.
we
Yep.
do,
Yep. Yep.
do you have anything I should have asked that I didn't ask? Anything you wished you?
Ah, can't think of it, anything,
Okay.
Ryan. So we're
All right.
good.
Good. So, all right. So, every episode we
Hmm.
ask these three questions of every guest. Now, I sent you these before, so they're not a surprise or anything. We're
Hmm.
not springing anything on you. But so, question number one: who do you hope you're inspiring?
It would be young individuals that wish to start a company, and in particular, veterans, women, and minority owned, diverse individuals.
Okay. Very good. Nice. What is a book, movie, or song that changed your life that you would like to share with others?
When I saw that question, Ryan, I was kind of torn. I think when it comes to a song, I love the musical The Greatest Showman.
Oh, me too.
And there's an episode in there, I know you've seen it. It's This Is Me.
Mhm.
And that was the song that allowed the producers to greenlight the program
Hmm,
to move it forward. They were on the bubble if they were going to produce it.
really?
So the lead singer in there, she pretty shy, and as you remember, she was actually her character was the bearded woman
Mhm.
in the musical, and you could just see at first she was very timid. She wasn't making eye contact. She was just singing for the sake of singing, and there's something in there that inspired her. She started to listen to the words, "This is me,"
Mhm.
and the whole production crew, I mean, people were like, singing to themselves and dancing, and the producers at that point in time said, "We're gonna
Yeah.
run this. We're gonna go ahead and,
That's amazing. I didn't know that
move
story.
forward."
I love that movie.
Isn't it
Yeah,
awesome?
it's a
Yeah,
fantastic movie. I have
yeah,
a lot to say about it too, if
yeah,
I'm being honest.
yeah,
But it's an
yeah,
incredible movie.
yeah,
And part of
yeah,
what I thought was so interesting about it is the way so many critics were kind of tough on it. But
mhm,
the thing that I thought was so interesting is I would go, so
mhm,
my kids were, at the age where they were in sort of show choir when that
mhm.
movie came out. Every show choir event I went to, kids were performing that song. Like
Yeah.
that movie really moved the needle on pop culture in ways that I don't think it got enough credit for.
Mm.
That's great. Am I right that it's becoming a Broadway?
It
Or maybe
is.
it is
It
already.
is. It is.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Very
Mhm.
good. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that is a good choice. I like that a
Mhm.
lot.
Mhm.
Um, so what's a piece of advice you'd offer someone who hasn't yet found their way?
I think it would be just stay true to your roots, and it gets back at your authenticity. Don't pretend to be something that you're not.
Mm,
This gets at the whole social media arena. You're going to sometimes walk into positions where you're replacing somebody and you think about, oh my gosh, I'm going to have such big shoes to fill. And like, I'm not that person. And you're right, you're not that person. But walk into that role um, using your talents, using your skills and abilities, and, just be, incredibly authentic as you move forward in life.
You are, I'm hearing that thread all the way through, right? This is me, authenticity, be yourself. Yeah, absolutely. Barb, this has been fantastic talking with you and learning more about you. Anything else you want to share? Or how can people find out more about you, more about New North, if they want to know more?
Yeah, of course. Our website is the
Hmm.
com. And the programs that I spoke about are all identified. We have a lot of videos on there. I'm on LinkedIn. Don't do a lot on Facebook, but a lot of pretty active on LinkedIn. And I'm always accessible. I put my cell number out. It's out on our website. We want people to reach out, and I want to be of any assistance that I can in helping them with their journey.
That is fantastic. So thank you so
You're welcome.
much for being here. This has been
You're
great.
welcome.
If you want to hear more stories of people finding their way, please join our Patreon. You'll get access to behind the scenes footage, special episodes, personal shout outs, and more. Plus, every dime we raise through the Patreon goes directly to student success initiatives here at UW Green Bay. You can also follow us on social media at UWGB Cause. That's UWGBCAHSS. Or you can follow me at Anger Professor. The Lantern is brought to you by Good Cause Productions at the University of Wisconsin Green Bay. The executive producer is me, Ryan Martin, and the production manager is Rachel Sankey. The engineer for today's episode is Kayla Valia Hafman, supported by a crew from LiveX. And that music you love so much was arranged by our very own Michelle McQuaid-Dewhurst. Special thanks also to our guest, Barb LaMue. If you haven't already, please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. I'm your host, Ryan Martin. Keep being amazing.